Our mayor and his rubber stamp aldermen, such as our own Alderman Moore, are gutting our public school system by turning over the education of our children to private corporations, many who give them campaign contributions and who run these schools funded by our tax dollars. Whether selling off parking meters, installing speed cameras, or opening charter schools, it's a privatization trend that must be stopped, because as money is diverted to these corporate-run schools, many public schools are left starved of the revenue and the resources that they need. Here behind me is Gale Academy. Constructed in 1922, and like many structures built in that era, it's in need of serious repair. Since 2009, CPS has been aware of problems like peeling lead paint, asbestos, malfunctioning boiler controls, and a faulty fire alarm system. Only recently has CPS begun fixing these problems, and only after pressure from citizen protest. Only recently has our alderman even acknowledged that he knew of these problems, while children have sat in these classrooms for years, exposed to, well, who knows what. The confluence of factors has brought Gale to this point, not the least of which is the skimming of property taxes and revenue rightfully belonging to CPS and the city in a political patronage scheme known as tax increment financing that has drained billions of tax dollars and given them to private developers. And to that, the diversion of funds from our public school system to charters, and an alderman who for 24 years has paid little attention to the plight of our public schools, and you have what amounts to a perfect storm of tragic proportions. Gale Academy, it's a classic example of what happens when these elements collide, leaving in their wake the victims of this catastrophic storm. Hundreds of children who have passed through the school and been denied even the basic conditions and resources necessary to learn, not to mention the faculty who have had to teach under these circumstances. It's not just sad, it's shameful. Shame on you, Mayor Emanuel. Shame on your anointed school board. Shame on your CEO, Barbara Burr Bennett. And shame on you, Alderman Moore. We need an alderman personally involved in the success of our local schools, personally involved in the empowerment of our local school councils, personally involved in advocating for public education in our community, and personally involved in creating the social capital necessary that every school in our ward has resources to provide the kind of education that parents can be proud of and our children excited about. It's time we have an alderman who understands that the quality of our schools is the tantamount issue around which every other issue revolves here in our ward. I'm saddened by the fact that our teachers, staff, students, and parents are constantly subject to making improvements under the most trying conditions. When it comes to our schools, I will be a hands-on alderman, regularly meeting with principals, teachers, and students to assess their needs and work to find and raise the funds necessary to provide those resources. I will fight in City Council to shut down the TIF program. I will advocate for a moratorium on privatizing our public school system. I will support an elected school board, and most of all, I will never, ever stand idly by and let any of our schools deteriorate to this extent. Certainly not without a fight. I'm Don Gordon, and I'm running for Alderman, the 49th Ward. Thank you.